Does this logo look familiar? In this video, I'm going to talk about how this logo was used on a website for the domain name bitcoinprime.net, a website that had no association with Amazon, and how Amazon won a UDRP decision even though the registrant of the domain name later changed its logo to something completely different. The case contains a subtle but important lesson for trademark owners in their pursuit of cyber squatters. Hi, it's Doug Isenberg, and the case I'm talking about today is interesting and important because it focuses on the bad faith element of the UDRP, the Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution Policy. As I explained in episode 8 of my masterclass on domain name disputes, the bad faith element requires a trademark owner to show both that a domain name was registered in bad faith and that it is currently being used in bad faith. Of course, a registrant can change how it is using a domain name at any time, so how concerned does a trademark owner need to be about timing when it files a UDRP complaint? And what, if anything, can a trademark owner do to establish the strongest possible case for proving the bad faith element? The decision in the Bitcoin Prime UDRP case makes clear that, at least in some disputes, how a domain name registrant is currently using a domain name may be less important than how it has actually used the domain name in the past, or for that matter, how it may use the domain name in the future. The case is Amazon Technologies versus Adam Grunwerg, Phoenixia Limited, a February 2021 UDRP decision from the forum that involved the domain name bitcoinprime.net. The facts from the case, as reported in the decision, are very brief. But what it does say is that the UDRP complaint was filed by Amazon, which is obviously well known as the operator of what the decision merely describes as a large online marketplace, but which of course is a giant in many industries, including e-commerce, and which currently ranks as number 2 on the Fortune 500 list of America's largest companies. The decision simply says that Amazon owns several trademark registrations for the trademark Prime. In the UDRP case, Amazon apparently argued that the word Prime was the only trademark in the disputed domain name bitcoinprime.net because the word Bitcoin and the top-level domain .net are generic and descriptive. The decision also says that Amazon, the complainant, argued that the domain name was being used by the registrant, or respondent, in order to pass off as complainant and divert consumers to respondent's commercial ventures for respondent's commercial gain. The decision doesn't say exactly how the domain name was being used, but the website associated with the domain name soon after the UDRP decision was published, and before the decision was implemented, shows a website advertising something called the Bitcoin Prime app, which is described as a profitable trading robot that offers auto trading services to ordinary people looking to capitalize on the insane potential found in Bitcoin trading, with a daily profitability rate of up to 60%. An archived copy of the website using the bitcoinprime.net domain name shows a logo that bears a number of similarities to the Amazon Prime logo. Now, here's why I think this case is so interesting. Despite the similarities between the Bitcoin Prime logo and the Amazon Prime logo, the registrant of the domain name apparently argued that Amazon included an old screenshot in its UDRP complaint, and that the registrant of the domain name changed the logo after it was contacted by Amazon. And in fact, this seems to be true, as shown in a later screenshot. As you can see, the new logo uses a different font with different colors and replaces the smile image with a coin graphic containing a stylized version of the letter B, all of which make the new logo more distinguishable from the Amazon logo. Before I get to the decision in the case, here's a quick reminder of what the UDRP requires. Specifically, paragraph 4A3 of the UDRP says that a trademark owner has to prove that a disputed domain name has been registered and is being used in bad faith. Now, through the years, UDRP decisions have come to emphasize the word "and" in that requirement, which means that a trademark owner has to show both that the domain name was registered in bad faith and is currently being used in bad faith. In other words, establishing bad faith at only one point in time is insufficient. In some cases, this means that a trademark owner cannot win a UDRP decision where, for example, it lacked trademark rights when the domain name was registered, even if the domain name is being used to target the trademark owner today. But the bitcoinprime.net case presents a different set of facts, because the issue was not really whether the domain name was registered in bad faith, but whether it was currently being used in bad faith. The registrant's logo appeared to play an important role in the decision. As I said before, the original Bitcoin Prime logo clearly resembled Amazon's logo, but the registrant of the domain name later changed it. Here's how the UDRP panel handled this issue. Respondent's subsequent use of the domain name in dispute, bitcoinprime.net, as a website clearly demonstrates his attempts to pass off as complainant and mislead consumers, online visitors, and divert them to its own commercial ventures for its own commercial gain. Any changes on the manner used in terms of logo appearance or even website content that may occur following the filing of the complaint under review are not sufficient to rebut the element of bad faith use for various reasons, one of them being the very same ability of changing back at will to any past or other potentially even more resembling variations on any given time. In other words, a domain name registrant in a UDRP case cannot successfully defend itself by simply changing how it uses a domain name after a complaint has been filed against it. Although the language in the bitcoinprime.net case focuses largely on the logo, the language also refers to website content, which means that this decision could be cited broadly in other cases, such as where a website is altered to give the appearance that it is intended to refer to something other than a trademark owner, or even where the website is simply taken down after a UDRP complaint is filed, which sometimes happens. Now, this is good news for trademark owners and bad news for cyber squatters who think they can be clever by exploiting a loophole in the UDRP's bad faith element. Under this decision, no such loophole exists, and the second half of the bad faith test simply requires a showing that bad faith applies when the complaint is filed, and that any later changes by a domain name registrant are irrelevant. And perhaps even more broadly, the decision makes clear that trademark owners should consider when and even whether to contact a cyber squatter before filing a UDRP complaint. This is a conversation I often have with clients, some of whom are eager to see if or how a cyber squatter might respond to a demand letter, but the best approach is not always clear and instead should be considered as part of a comprehensive strategy that evaluates the factual and legal issues of the dispute. If you want to learn more about the UDRP, please check out my masterclass on domain name disputes, as well as other resources on my GigaLaw website. And be sure to subscribe to the GigaLaw YouTube channel to be notified of future videos discussing other UDRP cases. Thanks for watching, and see you next time online.